Oh yeah, welcome to another episode of Sunday Gist with Olajay, and this is a show where real life issue meets real life solution. So we've been, if you are new here, hit the subscription button, click on the notification bell so that you'll be notified when next we drop any video, and also like, comment, and share. This is how you encourage us to do more. And okay, we are on it again today, and we have our guest here. Can you please introduce yourself to us now?
Good day, everyone. My name is Olajay, but people usually call me TJ. I prefer to be called TJ.
All right, thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you.
Privileged. Today we'll be talking about something very very wild a bit, but we'll be doing a brief talk on it. What are we talking about? We're talking about gaining mastery. What are we gaining mastery over? Like, how do you gain mastery? Through consistency. So what we are exactly talking about is consistency. And our guest here is ready to up and give us a detail on how to gain consistency. But before we go into that, in your own definition, what can you say, or according to the definition, what can you tell us about consistency?
Yeah, consistency. Literally, I tell myself that when it comes to consistency, what I would usually say, literally, means that consistency means when you show up, when you ought to show up, right? When you ought to show up, not when you feel like, oh, right? Or when you ought to show up. I mean, it does not mean showing up daily. It does not basically means to show up daily or something, depending on what you're doing. It just means showing up when you ought to show up, to do what you ought to do, right? So literally, as
all right, but do you know some people think consistency is that I'm doing something, I have to do it every time, even like maybe probably I'm doing something every time, and they feel like when I stop, I'm not consistent again. Is that really true?
Depending on whatever thing you're talking about, showing up, like I said the other time, consistency does not basically means to show up every day. I mean, let's assume that there is an annual program, that's or annual event that happens and all of that. I don't need to do the event every day. I just need to do it annually, right? So as long as I am doing it annually, I'm fine with it. But I would keep this in. Let's say that we have a program once in a year, every time in a year. Because we didn't do it this year does not mean we're not consistent with it. If we can still do it next year. I mean, I pray every day, I do something every day, I show up online. The work I'm doing, I show up every day from Monday to Sunday, I ought to do that. So, but there was a particular week that I did from Monday to Friday. So I skipped Saturday and Sunday. That does not originally mean that I am not consistent. I just took a break. I just stopped for a while, giving my reasons. It is not called consistency when I stop totally, but it is consistently when I take a break and continue again. The real mastery is continuing in it when I ought to continue till I reach the goal. All right. As long as I am doing it and I'm consistent with doing it. In fact, if I give myself to show up online 2 days in a week, as long as I'm doing that, I mean, we're good to go. So it does not literally mean that having to be there every day, as long as I'm just showing up, right? And
okay, wow, I learned something new. You know, consistency does not really mean that you stop totally. Like our guest has said, mean even if you stop, that you can still continue. That's what consistency means. That I pause or I take a break does not mean I'm not consistent. That I can still continue. That's what consistency is. Well, thank you very much for that.
I'm privileged.
Do you have any? Can you share with us any story of how you were consistent, or your small consistency leads to something big?
This thing is set up. I actually have few experiences like that. Okay,
And
I'll,
you have to share it with us.
okay, I'll share one out of it. All right. So it's about a financial breakthrough. All right. So I grew up having to depend on my father because my parents literally because they always get to give me all of those things. But being a university student, I get to realize that life is beyond all of those things and we have to just spread our wings. So financially, the actually I didn't mention I am into Web3 and a bit of tech. Yeah, so I started majorly last year. I around everybody knows about Notcoin.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think I do.
So when I heard about it, I've done some pausing schemes, and I just don't want to be interested in anything. But I decided to give it a try, and I started having some knowledge, and I realized it's a safe place. So there was a time that it was not looking like there was going to be money from it. So I had to take a break. Like I said at that time, I stopped at that time to research because most time why break is necessary is that when you take a break you get to gather up again. That is when breaking is very from stopping now.
Yeah.
You just took a break to gather up strength, to gather up why you started. All right, so I had to take a break from doing it and give myself more reasons, all right, to want to do it again. Taking a break does not mean that you should necessarily stop. Taking break is way from stopping, right? So I took a break around the time, and but I thank God I started back because by the time I started, and the rest the rest is history. From that time till now, God has been faithful. Imagine if I had stopped, the money I got from that time made me to start learning crypto. I know crypto is very expensive to learn, started trading, and the rest is history by the grace of God. So thank God I did not stop, and I've been consistent with it. Now, even now, as a student, there are other things that I want to make sure that I'm a student. I want to make sure that I'm working. I want to make sure that I'm doing my spirituals and all of that. So it's just trying to be consistent in everything and be balanced.
Wow, thank you very much. What what keeps you motivated even in times when you don't feel like showing up?
I don't feel like showing up. Basically, this particular thing, I said it earlier that I'm into Web3. I'm a crypto trader. We tell ourselves that we have some language that we use like stay logged in, show up always, different things and all of that. So be consistent, all of those things. We just motivate ourselves. What I do because I get tired. Sometimes you lose money. Sometimes it looks like the week is not for you, and all of that. Sometimes I don't feel like going to the chat. But what makes me motivated are the times that I've won and why I started. I go back to the root. I go back to my reasons. And there's something I tell myself, nobody's coming to save me.
That means you have to save yourself.
In this world, I understand that everybody love each other, but is every man for themselves?
For themselves.
Right? Nobody's coming to save me. I am responsible for myself. So all of these things, all these things I'm saying, those are the reasons that made me start that. Nobody's coming to save me. I am responsible for myself, and apart from being responsible for myself, being responsible means that I'm responsible for that person's too. So imagine if I'm not doing anything. That means that those people are going to be affected. So I go back to my reasons. I go back to where I started. And I know all of these things, even if not for myself, for the sake of generational wealth. That's the plan.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Right? So I must show up together, and it does not come easy. I tell myself normally, I encourage myself, and I check my wins. Sometimes I go to my PNL. PNL is
Life industry.
let's say like that, of my even loss, green and all of that. So I check the time I've won, I check the time I've lost. it keeps me going. Go back to it. Go back to your root. Yeah, it keeps me going.
Actually, I was just thinking, there was time I also wanted to start doing trading, crypto, and every other thing like that.
Full of power.
It's not for people that. I actually started. But now, where am I? I have to go back.
No, you are doing something now. You are
Go
doing
back to
something.
something.
Don't be sure you are doing something.
Something I know best how to do.
Exactly.
Because,
Not everything is meant for everybody. Now, this thing like this, even this one, I also want this.
Thank God.
So just go for what fits you best and
Mm.
what works for you. Everybody should just go for what works for them. Not everything works for everybody. So that's it.
Alright, I hope we've been able to learn a lot of things from today's episode. Seriously, consistency. It does not necessarily mean that you show up daily, but it should necessarily mean that even when you take a break, even when you stop, that you continue. Continuing is what means consistency. Not that you stop, not that you. So that, I don't know if you've listened to this BBO song. Go pause, go pause. Even if it's come from BBO. If you can take it to pause, but when you are pausing, just know maybe probably at that time that you are pausing, you are using to re-strategize, you are using to gain more energy for something to do. So, and when you are coming back stronger and mightier. So, consistency, it's a way to gain mastery. It's a way to gain mastery if you are being consistent on things. So, and
I just wanted to say that even those times you are taking break, you are getting more knowledge. So by getting more knowledge, you are gaining the mastery into it.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much for showing up into this episode of Sunday Gist. Thank you for accepting my
I'm
invitation.
privileged. Thank you very much.
Over to you, viewers. Let's hear your story. Either you've been able to gain mastery and with the key consistency, and if you can just drop it in the comment section your view about it, and also don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel for more, and see you on next Sunday Gist with Olajay.